let's go ahead and jump right into what everyone is here to hear. Oh, I love here to hear. Look at that. So, since you guys ended up matching, have you gone on a date?
Scott, do you
Mm.
want
We
to
did not go
start?
on. Okay, sure. Yeah, we did not go on a date. We talked
Oh.
immediately the night of, and then we talked for a bit afterwards, and then
Hmm.
we did not talk at all.
Well,
Okay.
just wanted to
So that,
clarify that. So,
yeah. So what
sorry,
happened
Arlette.
that night? Why didn't you guys go on that date? What happened? Go ahead, Brittany.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go get a bite to eat real quick. We just matched. Let's go sit down and have a couple drinks or something like that. Or if you don't drink, I'll have a water and let's just you know, chill out for a little minute. How hard is it?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, my parents, well, my mother was there, my family was there, and
Oh
so
wow.
they were looking out for my best interest
Okay.
because once the show, once we were done filming, it was late. So my mom's like, "Look, I want you,
And
to be nearby." So my aunt, she
That's different. That's new.
has an apartment. She has a really nice clubhouse. So we agreed to meet up there and
mhm.
just get to know more about, Scott and who he is. I for the
Your whole
first
family, like you and your family getting to know
no, no,
Scott?
yeah,
It was
no,
mostly just her and
sorry.
her mom.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of
No,
left, but her mom was there for
well,
a
let
bit,
me
and then
finish. Let me finish. Let me
go
finish.
ahead.
Okay. So, thank you. Ladies first, remember? So, yeah, my mom, she first met Scott, and so she got to know him more. She's like, okay, he's a good guy. So I'm gonna go upstairs, text me once you're done, and then, when you're done, I'll come back down. So, the night we met, very, he was a gentleman, very chivalrous, like I mentioned before, and,
Hmm.
we got to know each other more and more. It was kind of difficult, after we met, got to know him, he said, "Oh, I have flowers for you, meet me, we were going to meet at the airport and whatnot." I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure. Let's meet at the airport." But we are long distance. Scott is based in Atlanta. I am based in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
And so it was, really difficult, but we did, just talk, FaceTime, text, all that good stuff. So we made up for it in that time.
Okay,
Yeah, and
okay.
so to just kind of start, if we're going to start at the beginning as well, so similarly, yeah, I did meet her mom initially. I was a little interested, but I don't stray away from, meeting families. I'm not intimidated by that. It didn't really phase me. And I was just,
Was her mom at the recording of the show, like watching? Or he said everybody else left, but what was like her mom and other family members like they're watching people walk up and all that stuff? Like what?
wonderfully, well, not wonderfully, I was happy to go and like meet and do some type of conversation because I noticed some people were following up, some people were going their way. And so, I took advantage of that opportunity to get to know her better. And I feel like that conversation initially was like a level setting conversation. We talked about boundaries, we talked about our desires, we talked about like things that we expected, like a
Hmm.
baseline expectations. We also talked about some timelines
Okay.
and communication strategies, and there were a few deal breakers, basically deal breakers and preferences. And then I did ask her about some of the standards of like, hey, are all these guys your type? Because some of them aren't, me. So I felt like we had level set pretty well. We actually talked really late. We talked for a few hours, and I
Okay,
think
that's
we
good.
covered most of the deeper um guidelines. And she is a very spiritual woman. We both talked about, our faith, and I talked about like, the church group that I have and different things that I was getting involved with. And so, the agreement was to follow up. Distance is not an issue for me. It's never is. There's planes, trains, and automobiles. Like I said on
Yeah.
stage, like I travel.
I literally be saying that.
So me being in Atlanta, I'm just a flight away. And so then after that, we exchanged numbers and
When you come on this, when you fly in, I'm gonna say this again. Expect, just put it might be long distance at the top of your list, but if you're flying in from Chicago or something like that, and you don't live in Arizona, expect. Even if you live in Arizona, expect. If you don't know what I'm saying, there, that's where they film it. Expect to your match might be long distance, might be long distance. Don't go expecting somebody to live right around the goddamn corner from you.
the plan was to continue communicating and then to
Hmm.
follow up. And the flower thing, I did ask. She's forgetting. I did ask. I said, "Hey, do you like surprises?" And there's more flowers. Would you like it? And she let me know. And so I went through TSA. That video is also up there. And I gave her the full bouquet the next day. But if she didn't want it, I wasn't gonna force it. So that's
No,
kind of
I
how
mean, I
things
was
started.
I
Okay.
was open to the flowers. He did mention it, and I was just like, yeah, definitely. So there was no, misunderstanding with the flowers. He did mention that he had flowers for me, and we did agree to meet up at the airport.
Yeah.
Of course,
Yeah.
TSA can be a pain sometimes, but yeah, I received the flowers. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
And I didn't hear
All right.
Manny's
All right.
comment.
Hold on, Scott.
Continue.
Y'all gotta
Go
let me
ahead.
run the interview. It's okay. I
Go
know you
ahead.
want to spill all the beans. It's all right.
I'm not spilling all the beans. It's your show. It's your show.
All right.
I gotta relax. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all ain't going nowhere. Shit.
So now, after you guys, so the last time you guys saw each other was at the airport when you were going your separate ways?
Yes.
Physically in person, yes.
Okay, got it. And then, so once you guys got back to your prospective homes, you said you guys were messaging, FaceTiming, all that stuff as well?
Initially, yes. And then
Okay.
we decided, because we're both spiritual, to kind of just pray and fast together. And then Brittany suggested it would be a little bit better to text instead of FaceTime or call as much, so she could have like a
Okay.
clear brain to like process, which is fine and fair, because before I went on the show, I prayed about things. I was already there, but I was like, you know what? You need that time. I will adjust to that. Whereas even though texting is not the best skill set for me, I do have ADHD, so I work through that. But I expressed that to her. But I said, hey, if anything, I will still try and be frequent. I know there's a time zone, but she can admit that I was texting her. I was trying to keep up, sending texts and things like that. So we did kind of slow down as much as the texting. We did have a couple phone calls, and we did have a couple
Okay.
FaceTimes as well.
Okay, but
Yeah, when it comes to like crazy work schedules, like if you got to be up early and somebody works overnight or something like that, that 3 hour time difference. If you're in California and somebody's in like New York or something like that, it's not good. It could lead to some bad stuff.
like you would say the
Schedule mishaps and all type of things.
way that you guys mostly communicated was through text.
Yes.
Yes.
But it can work. It has worked very, 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 very successfully with some people. Like I mentioned a long time ago, Timothy De La Ghetto lived in LA. His girl that he's married to now, Chia, was in Canada.
It was.
Okay.
And I also want to bring up a point. Scott did mention that we did fast. I did suggest that only because, and going back to the first day, I do respect the fact that Scott respects my values. One of the values I mentioned is that I date with the intention of marriage. And so for that, I'm like, look, for me personally, the courting period for me should take no more than 8 months to about a year. Anything longer, of course, we need to discuss that, but he was very respectful of that. So I just wanted to, point that out, that I did suggest that, and then he was very receptive to that. But before that, we were talking FaceTiming, but I just wanted to know if my mind was right, for this relationship, because I did feel like we're moving a little too fast in the beginning. So I was like, okay, let me just, see where God wants me to be at, because I don't want to go before the will of God, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and that was one of the things we had in the beginning, where I think maybe I didn't clarify things as much, or we didn't get on the same page on timeline, because we did talk about a timeline of a year or 6 months. So for me, I
think everything went to hinder as soon as that time limit got put on the things. And then that a year, when you get older to their ages, to our ages, it's a year goes by in like 4 months. In like 4 months is like almost the end of the year already. It's done. So with that, when time speeds up, when you get older and stuff starts to crunch, some people still aren't at a point to where it's like in a year, I still don't even know who you are.
felt like I got mixed messages between like wanting to go fast, because it's like, how long are you going to court me for, meeting the whole family, things like that. And then also it's like, let's go slow, because I don't want to be, as physical. And mind you, that is totally fine with me. We both agreed to be, celibate until marriage, which is fine. But she asked me, one of the questions she asked me was like, how long do you plan to court me? And, 6 months, 8 months. And I'm like, well, we're both in school. So I was like, don't expect anything before, we get out of school. But I did commit to being in California, and actually made plans to transfer at my job.
And how long are you both still in school for? Since you said that.
I
I'm in
finished
school
in December.
I'm in school for another year until spring. About the courting period, and about the fact that he mentioned the hot and cold, and because I did ask him how long do you plan on courting me for, only because he was also bringing up certain, text messages, I was like, okay, I'm not really too comfortable with this. So we're going to discuss this. How long are you going to court me for if we're going to go into divulge this information? So,
Mhm. Yeah. So, and just on that as well, like,
Sorry, Scott. She said she has a year left, and then how much do you have left in school?
I mean,
You said you're
I'm
both in
finishing in
school
December. I'm finishing
in
in
December.
December,
Okay. Okay,
but
that's a couple of
my
months.
program is hybrid and it can be online, and I have offices out there, so I actually did look into transferring. She doesn't know
Hmm.
about that, but I did look into that as well as I'm going to school for a different field from what I'm doing. I'm working in complaints right now,
Really?
and I want to do
Okay.
something different. Well, commercial real estate, as I mentioned. But as far as like the text messages, initially I was dealing with a lot, and I know I didn't share it a lot on the show because I do like privacy, and that was one of the things that I think may have led to rubbing to her not enjoying the experience as much as I'm big on trying to be empathetic and understanding, and so one of the things I talked about is, hey, we met in a different way. So how
Hmm.
do you want, to approach this? Because you're not on social media as much as I stream, video games. I'm out there. So I was like, we can, post things together. Would you like this or that? And it was just a simple like. And so I had cheesy suggestions to do. And it was just seeing like, oh, we can, it was kind of like tabled. And I didn't know that that bothered her, along with,
So you're saying you suggested like doing content together? Sorry, I'm trying to understand.
yes,
Like,
later, like when the episode drops, as well as do you want to post stuff while we're talking for this, between the time of the taping and the air date?
From the way she's talking, from the way she wants to go about her relationship, I mean, I would presume, just for me, I already kind of get the feeling that she wouldn't want to have like a super duper out there publicized public relationship based around some type of content based, got a year to court me and all this other stuff, right? It just deems me that, how do I explain it? I don't feel like she would be comfortable with that either. But I don't know what their conversation was exactly before that. I mean, we kind of got enough, sort of. But him streaming video games and things like that and posting things together and her talking about moving too fast. I mean, if you're talking about a year, she's trying to speed things. I guess this is his way of incorporating their life into what he does and putting stuff out there together, and it'll go at a pace that you would think that she would like. Because she's talking about a year. Remember, I just said a year when you get older is really fast. A year passes by just like that. You know what I mean?
Or
okay.
would you just
And
like
she
to stay
said that
put?
posting content made her uncomfortable.
No, there was just like a thumbs up or kind of like a tabling of it, which I didn't mind. And she was like, oh, I might be open to it, basically, from for like when the episode drops, because I take
Hmm.
things very seriously. And then as far as the uncomfortable, I don't think she was mainly talking about that. It's just, I'm big on communication. That was one of the main things.
This right here, watching this is an example. I can't remember which video it was, but I talked about how men are way more submissive than women. It's just not noticeable because when you talk about like somebody being submissive, you think of a woman doing this and that and the third or whatever and obeying and following a man, and the man is supposed to lead. We are you see how we have to arrange things for y'all like 100 million things just to, I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying we are, by technicality, by definite, we are way more submissive than to women than they are to us because of the amount of things we have to do to kind of set accommodations for you, to set the environment up for you to be comfortable for you to date us. It's a lot.
And on my application,
We got to move things around, do this, that, and the third. You know what I mean?
it's a deal breaker. And she also stressed, you make sure you tell me, don't lie to me, be upfront and open. And so we talked about
that should be a thing that's equal on both sides. But as you can see here, it's making it look like, we got to be submissive to, don't do this, do that. Okay, all right, all right. what is it? Happy wife, happy life. All right, just do what she says, man. Just do what she says, man. Damn, I'm about to get in trouble with my white dog. Damn, all right, man. Damn. Yo, don't do that though. She gonna wild out. Oh my god. Oh, now I gotta deal with this. We do, sometimes girls do that, but most of the time it's us guys, try to keep everything calm in the house by being what? Submissive.
plethora of things, but there were certain things that I was dealing with my family as well as work, and I wasn't as open. And so she asked me, and she inquired a bunch of times via text, as well as one of our calls, like, hey, I need you to open up. I need, don't shut me out. I need to understand my man, or I need to understand, like, if I'm going to build with you, just like how we do
Mhm.
spiritually, you need to open up. And so then I started to divulge some of, like, family things.
And then what she say in the beginning? You got a year left. Like how long? How long you gonna court me for? More submission. To be submissive again.
Some of the other things. And then she also asked me, like, what are your likes and interests? And I stated, we probably have different likes and interests just because of, like, what I've been exposed to, my upbringing and things like that. But if anything offends you, let me know. And she said, okay, cool, just start to go. So I had proceeded to send different pictures and videos, Kev on stage, Dormtainment. Those are just two things I'm going to name, but there was a plethora because I have a very wide range of things that I find funny versus in activities. I have a very serious job, so when I'm outside of work, I like to have fun. But
I don't like that type of comedy. It's too like dark. Okay, so I can see if somebody likes dark comedy. You kind of got to let people know because everybody ain't gonna be cool with dark comedy if you know what that. Because dark comedy and like hard comedy, being like the funniest jokes or the most racist jokes and things like that. Some people really aren't comfortable with that type of stuff, and that could be make or break for somebody to be in a relationship with you that you don't know. I can kind of see that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But he's like innocent people like Kev on stage. I think this is funny. You're sending her what type of comedy you like. Like I like to watch action movies. What about like? Oh my God, where's it going?
like I said, not everyone's humor and fun is the same. So that I believe she didn't share some of those, and one of the things that I personally didn't like is that was not communicated to me until much later.
Oh, and gaming. He likes the game. I didn't hear her come out of her mouth that she doesn't like gamers or anything like that or streaming games. So
Later, that some of those things were
some women have a problem with that.
uncomfortable per se. So
Okay, let's switch it on over to Brittany.
Like you could be physically fit, make 6 figures a month, have a nice house, car, have everything put together. And then it's just like, all right, what do you do in your spare time? Well, sometimes I like to game for maybe 1 or 2 hours a day. It really depends. Oh, really? You like to play games? You need another hobby. Do something else. I can't date you. It's like, what? But you say you want to be a stay-at-home this and that, and I made that environment for you to be stay-at-home and blah, blah. You want to go to school or whatever, you'll be taken care of. Well, you say you wanted to get married in 2 years and have 2 kids, and we can do that very easily. I have everything set. You play video games for 1 hour. Every 2 days you play for 1 hour. I don't want that. You see how crazy?
So
Video games keep me from going outside, keep me from cheating, keep me from being in the street and everything else. You know what I mean? Stay out of trouble. Well, you don't have to worry about where I'm at. I'm in the house. You know what I mean? So, do something else. Go to the gym. I do go to the gym. I'm super physically fit. Like, what's going on? Like, I jog every day. I do cardio. I lift weights. I make sure I eat healthy. But the game's down. What? It's gonna be a distraction from me. But I'm only playing for an hour when you're away at your part-time job that you don't even have to work, but you want to do it just to get a breath of fresh air. I don't want you playing no games at all. Period. I can't have no gaming, man. It'd be that bad. Well, even if I'm making money off. I make an extra $10,000 a month by streaming a few hours a day from game. Find another hobby. The anime thing and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? So, it's each his own. It's preference.
he's saying he sent you over some of the things that his likes and things like that, and you said you told him later on that some of those things made you uncomfortable. Is there a reason you didn't want to tell him right then and there, or talk us through that?
Sure, yeah. So I just feel like some information was kind of just mixed together. He did share what he likes comedy wise, memes and whatnot.
He's being careful.
In between those texts and memes were a lot of inappropriate text messages. I don't want to go too deeply into it. I just want to respect Scott. I want to respect myself, but a lot of it, I will say, it was bedroom talk. And with the bedroom talk, I will say the reason why I did, going back to what I'm saying, okay, when you're going to court me, is because you kept bringing up, the bedroom talk.
Wait, did y'all ever talk about getting back together and seeing each other for an actual real first date?
One of the text messages, I just felt like, okay, wait, what? Like, what do you mean? I just felt like in that text, he just shut me down. And I didn't really appreciate that because I'm thinking, okay, like, look, like, you open the door to this. I'm just, responding to what you're saying. And there's a few times where I felt shut down. And yeah, I could have said, hey, look, we need to talk. But when I'm shut down so much, I just feel like, okay, well, what's the point? What's the use? Going back to, just me, letting him know, like, look, this is what's going on. This is how I don't feel comfortable about this. And I left it at that. I just was like, okay, look, I would like to, eventually get over this, but it's like, I have to let you know how I feel. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a good match. So that's basically, my take on the whole situation. I am big on communication. I am strong on communication. But again, when I do feel shut down, or if I feel like in a ways, the situation's not favoring me, I will leave. I will let you know why I'm leaving, but then eventually I will leave. So.
Okay,
Yeah.
so would he just send these messages out of nowhere? Like you'd be talking about something else and then boom,
Yeah,
it's like a random message?
yeah.
No, we
Yeah.
kept a rolling text message like conversation because we were well, not pigeonholed, but that's how I felt. But because we were no longer, during the period, we were no longer talking on the phone as much. We would just keep an ongoing text plus the time zone. But the specific instance that she's referring to, and I'm glad she brought it up. And yeah, I'm not going to get into specifics either in terms of like the actual text messages. A conversation came up about love language, and I was very open, just like when we had the boundary setting conversation earlier. That I'm a physical person. I grew up being hugged. Even it's even biblical. I grew up getting hugged all the time. Things like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, okay, but I want to be respectful to you and your boundaries, and vice versa. I also grew up very, very conservative at one point. So I was like, I understand that. And I'm also tall. I understand some people have had different experiences. And so one of the conversation where I would say that things got different is we were talking in line with the tell me anything, open up, let me know. She asked me what my love language was, and so I let her know it was quality time and physical touch. And so I am someone, I can talk about any topic at any time, and I would have probably had this, and I feel it might have been different if we were on FaceTime. So I used that as an ability to build on our previous conversations and mention, you know, my life.
And this is one of the reasons why people say they like face-to-face conversations are actually phone calls where you can hear somebody's voice, or even take it a step further, if you're not near the person, yes, FaceTime so you can see the facial expression along with the voice. You know what I mean?
Or preferences going forward, because I really need I like affection, and physical affection is something I would like. It doesn't necessarily, like I said, we agreed to celibacy, but I was like, if we're going to be celibate, the plan is when we get to marriage, like I do want to make sure that aspect you can turn it on and go from there. Now, granted, was I more descriptive of things? Absolutely. At that moment, but I felt like that conversation was a specific conversation.
So it felt like it was kind of appropriate to let her know, to kind of, I don't want to say to kind of, I guess, be safe, so she's not caught off guard with anything. But just by him mentioning, the detailed aspects of physical touch and being intimate and stuff like that, she just didn't like that. You know what I mean? Now, when I say stuff like this, I'll always take it with a grain of salt, because she could be saying this because she really doesn't like him, maybe for other reasons, and she doesn't want to look bad. Maybe there's could be a chance of that, but we'll never know.
And so I was a little bit actually shocked by a little bit of a response, because I figured I was just having a statement and I was ready to move on. And then she responded, and I was like, whoa, I realized, based off of my lifestyle and some of the things, it was getting me worked up in a certain way. And so I said, hey, let's slow down. And then she told me she was testing me. And so we had a discussion about that. And I said, hey, why are you testing me? Things like that. And then I actually forgave her, and I was good to go. And so she did say what she said about me shutting her down and shutting her out. And so I explained, it's not that, it's just, I've been in an experience where someone used, they were conservative, and that's fine. And I have no issue with that, but they were not affectionate at all. Because there's a difference between being celibate and not.
When somebody says that, okay, that's happened before on both sides. When somebody does something like that and they go, oh, I'm testing you, that pisses the other person off and causes them to shut you down. So she calls that herself, I'm testing you. What? Testing what? Who? Don't play with me like that. Now, of course, I'm not gonna don't play with me like that. I'm not that type of person, but at the same time, that's what I'm getting here. That's what's making sense so far. Am I crazy?
Being affectionate and to kind of build on that with one of the videos that we were sending back and forth, there was a video that she sent me, which was a nice video about an alternative, it was a Christian video, dating style, and in there, someone was talking about not kissing until marriage, and I flat out told her that wouldn't be me. That's not something that I want to do. Even biblically it says, like, 2 Corinthians 13:12 says, greet each other with a holy kiss. Like, I grew up being hugged and kissed, and I do feel like there should be boundaries, but that's just not something for me. But I did say that I enjoyed that, so I just wanted to clarify that particular conversation.
I also want to clarify too, sorry,
Arlette. Yeah, go ahead, Brittany.
It's just that he did mention his love language, but he just took it way too far. It was like he didn't stop at, okay, quality time, physical touch. It was like, okay, and then like, I like this, and then it just got to the bedroom talk when it didn't have to go there. So with that, I was like, okay, well, gee, like, I just asked you, your love language. I didn't ask you, what the plan is for the honeymoon. So of course, and it wasn't just that one instance. There was, when we first met at the clubhouse, he also mentioned, that too. And then it was another instance. So it was just, it happened just a little bit too much. Whereas when I asked, okay, when do you want to court me? Because if you're going to talk like this, then what's the plan? So that's how I feel. And so just to also mention,
what's the plan? It seems like you kind of shut him. That's when it stopped, right? There was no what's the plan. It kind of stopped right there. Both of you guys kind of acknowledged that.
Did do FaceTime. We actually FaceTime, I want to say,
I don't know.
What was it? Two? Yeah.
2 times.
It was throughout our date. We're not saying, but we were talking to each other. It was for like 2 hours for like, couple days throughout the week. So we had time to talk. So we did talk about, just questions and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And then Brittany, he brought up a thing where he said, you told him you were testing him. You testing him on what?
So as far as the question was concerned, because he just immediately just shut me out. I was just like, okay, like, I don't know how to respond to this. So I just kind of just played it off like, oh, LOL, but after thinking about it, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, you opened the door. You said, this statement, I don't want it because it's a bit explicit. You said this statement, to me. So I want to know more. And then he just rather just like, oh, well, don't test me. My family tests me. My job may test me. Your parents may test me, but I don't want you to test me, and I was just like, okay, like, I just, you started this whole, situation, like you took it there. So of course I want to know. So when I said that, it wasn't so much, like, oh yeah, but I wanted to like, okay, like, I don't want to be the bad guy in this. So I was like, okay, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Yeah. And so basically I had said, and I'll highlight it because you don't have to get graphic with it. But I was saying, hey, if I will be celibate, we will be celibate. I'm very spiritual. I'll respect your boundaries and my own boundaries because I'm in a good place spiritually. But I would like to have sex on a honeymoon because that's biblical. That's what people do when they're married. And now, did I add additional details around certain things around that based off of my experience of dating while celibate, which I have done with other individuals? I added some additional details because I thought it might have been helpful given certain other factors, but I did not know, so much like what she said, that it was received in such a way, and also with my brain and my condition.
See, this is why I also want to see the message. Like, of course, we're not going to ever see him. Sometimes I want to see video footage of the conversation. I want to see what it was, and I want to see the text message because maybe they weren't as bad as they're being perceived to be. Of course, these text messages are supposed to be private, but at the same time, he didn't know that she was going to feel this way about him. But I want to see because it might be like, oh, this don't seem that bad. Oh, okay, it's not that. But for her, it felt like something. You know what I mean? For how she views everything in her brain. So
I'm not saying it as like an excuse. I tend to string, the way ADHD works, you string loose connections and thoughts, your brain continues to run. And so for me, I was like, well, we're on this topic. We don't tend to talk about physicality. A lot of our conversations were very deep, as most people will think. It were about other things. But to also highlight the point about courting, I said, like, one of the first things I said is if we're walking, we're crawling, we're walking together, we're crawling together, or we're running together. The main thing is just about being on the same page. There's people who came on here and were getting married. Um, I take relationships seriously. And so it wasn't, I took initiative. There's something else that we'll talk about. One of the things that she addressed when we ended our brief talking before she basically cut off communication.
Mhm.
I asked her if she likes surprises. And so I had a hunch in general. And once I knew I matched with her, I'm a practical person. I purchased the flight because I also knew I had some business out on the West Coast. And
Mhm.
so I purchased a flight. And so I was going to be in the area.
Okay.
And so on one of our follow up FaceTimes, I think it was our last FaceTime, I mentioned, hey, when we were deciding, things were actually still going good, in my opinion, to follow up, I was like, yeah, I'll be around. I'll be in the area. I'm going to clear a day for you, because I didn't
Mhm.
want it to come off as creepy. And I even said that, hey, I hope this isn't creepy. But I was like, hey, I really like you. Let's talk. Like, why don't we start dating? It doesn't have to be a rush. Because for me, I kept getting, whenever anything physical came up, it was like, slow down. But then it was like, how long do you want to date me? My parents got married in a certain amount of time. My parents got married in 6 months. But I was like, you're
Mhm.
in school, I'm in school. But I was committing to getting closer, to moving closer, to being respectful, because as there are about 10 different things within a marriage, and I'm going to pause here, that lead to divorce or separation or issues, and one of those is physical intimacy. And that's something that, like I said, intimacy is not just sex. And so that's one of the concerns. The more you start to speed it up, I didn't see that. I did not kiss her, we at all. The most we did was a side hug. And so
God. I don't even want to go look at the comments of the original video. I know these comments are going to be crazy. Yo, she playing around with you. She lying. She got some other dude or whatever she's talking to. Maybe she's not. I'm just going to say this. He's very serious about this and extremely submissive to whatever she wants, trying to, figure out how to move around this situation, trying to be serious. Some people like her, and whatever her family views are, strict on her. As I don't, man, you can only imagine how she grew up, right? Extremely conservative. But some people are so conservative and are so serious and are so cut off. They have these walls up for the fact I need this, that, and the third. I don't want to do nothing. Like, you could be overly serious about getting into a relationship with somebody to the point that it seems like you're playing around, and it seems like nobody can take you serious at all. Like, you're almost a waste of time. No, I'm not gonna say anybody's a waste of time, but it's like, how far can it go? Like, come on, I don't know where to go with this.
I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure before, not even before committing, that capacity is there, and that, hey, I'll be respectful, it'll be fine. But the last thing I would want to do is to, be very, very relaxed, adjust and adapt. And then, I feel like I'm not wanted because this is how I feel love. Sometimes you have to,
Mhm.
in a relationship, it's give and take. You have to share and show love
Damn.
to the person.
It's
How
so bad that he feels like you don't even want me. Like, you don't even like me at all. Like, what's the deal? He was, oh God, Jesus.
You're
see.
saying, are you trying to say like you were getting like kind of like mixed signals in a way?
Yeah, I was wondering if she was actually into me, because that's one of my other deal breakers. Is like, you have to, like my aunt always says, you still have to take pictures. Like, yes, Jesus is the center, and yes, you should, there's other things in a marriage, but you have to be comfortable taking a picture with someone, being close to them, and vice versa. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean I have
Mhm.
to do all this graphic stuff. And I wasn't clear on that because, we started conservatively and respectfully, and I'll pause here and I'll listen because I really want to hear. And I
Mhm.
figured, let me take a more of a ginger approach. I get it. We're both working people. I don't know all the experiences, and we want to take it slow and methodical. And she wants to pray about it. I was into that.
Mhm.
And it's just, I had concerns because of, like I said, some other situations with people who were just as spiritual as I were, or going from there. And I'm like, wait a minute, it needs to be, a whole picture, like a Proverbs 31 woman. Like, I want every single aspect there. So,
Okay. Okay, let's hear from Brittany. So he's saying he was kind of getting mixed signals. He wasn't sure if you're really into him. Were you into him? Do you feel like you were giving him mixed signals?
Not at all. I was like, this is actually the first time I'm hearing about this. I'm actually surprised.
Could you stop talking to him?
We actually gave
Cut
each
him
other
off.
nicknames. So I was just like, I'm surprised about the mixed signals part, because my thing is, I don't give mixed signals. My thing is, if I'm interested in you, I'm interested in you. If I'm not, I'll let you know.
You're not.
My whole thing
Just say it, man. Just, you're not. We live once.
is, There's a lot that was said. I want to start off by saying about the side hug. When we first met the first night, he gave me a full on hug. It was never a side hug. And I was like, okay, this is different. I'm just getting to know you kind of thing. Like,
Let's give you a little slack on both sides. There's been full hugs, but more side hugs than full hugs. Let's say one full hug and 4 side hugs.
so I was a little uncomfortable at first.
What about the goodbye hug? Like before he took off, like what hug was that?
So I was like, okay, I'm just getting to know you. And then I also want to move back to when he mentioned about the plane ticket. So as far as the plane ticket is concerned, he said, I had a surprise for you. I have a surprise for you. I was like, okay, yeah, well, what is it? What is it? What's the surprise? He's like, well, no, you have to wait. You have to wait. So I'm thinking, okay, what is this surprise? So I'm kind of like, waiting with anticipation, about the surprise. Had no idea he was going to, he bought a plane ticket until he told me through FaceTime that, hey, look, I bought a plane ticket, this date, And so when he told me this, he didn't, because my thing is when you
I wouldn't frame that as a surprise. I would just frame it, hey, I'm gonna be in the area at this da, 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 da. I'll just frame it as a regular conversation. Hey, I gotta be over here from work. I'm close to you. I happen to be in the area. You want to free up some time? I'm not gonna be surprised. It's me. Hell no, and I'm not doing that because some men or women, some people just do not like surprises in any shape, form, or fashion at all, unless it's like some wedding, not anniversary, but like a proposal or something. Maybe that's the only surprise they could really accept.
plan a trip, it's a plan. You just don't go out and buy a plane ticket and say, hey, I'm here, because you don't know my schedule. My thing is, I go to work, I have school, I have other obligations.
Yeah, that's exactly why I said that.
And so when he told me this,
she got 1 point.
yes, I thought, it was nice, but at the same time, I'm thinking, well, the days that you are going to stay out here, I have school, I have an exam, I have class projects, all that stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, okay, I was willing to work, at, meeting him in person. In fact, I even said, my family, I told them about it. I said, they want to meet you too. He's a bit hesitant at that because he was like, oh, I already met your mom, I already met your aunt. I guess, he just seemed kind of hesitant. So I was like, okay, well, wouldn't you just be, like happy that she'll be meet my parents, like, for the first time? But I didn't get that energy from him. Aside from that, I was just kind of like, okay, like, you're coming out here, but no, that's how it happened, Scott. So, and then he also asked me, he said, hey, I need you to drive me to and from the airport.
Now, mind you, it's like that in other cultures too, depending. I mean, sometimes, hey, can I date your daughter? That it's like that in other cultures too, but sometimes, people you're sleeping with people, but this is sometimes, most of those questions is before marriage. Do I have permission? You go to the dad, you go to the family, you go to the mom, get approval.
So I'm thinking again, it's like, we're talking, even though, yes, I am interested in you. We're talking. I feel comfortable if you just, getting a rental car instead. Cause again, I don't know you like that and I don't want to feel put out. So it was just like, even though he says, yes, I like surprises, and yes, I do like surprises, that right there, that whole like flight, that should have been discussed previously. That's the plan. My thing is, you planning this trip, I agree with it. Yeah, cool. Then you coming out with like, okay, like let's go out to dinner. Here's some, roses. That's a surprise. So, just the differentiating of, surprise and plan are just, two different things. When he said it, I just was not prepared for it, and so that's what happened.
And so just to backtrack, because my recollection of the events are a little different. The night before was the same time that we had that conversation where the whole uncomfortable thing would happen, and we apologized and we level set. And so after that, I was like, man, here is someone who, even when we had our disagreement, like, she's serious. We can work through this. This is, because sometimes when things are tested, if they're serious. And I was like, this is amazing.
Well, the first time y'all went through that thing that made her uncomfortable, when y'all first described it, YouTube down bottom, it's on both of y'all this time. You know what I mean? Y'all made it seem, you sir made it seem like she didn't even disagree with you. You made it seem like she cut you off the first time it happened. We just didn't talk. I don't know. But I guess maybe it's the second time it happened. So the first time it happened, y'all was still cool. And y'all, okay, cool.
Let me go ahead. I know I can do some of these other things. My tutor's out there. I'm just going to buy this flight. and maybe I'll talk with her and bring it up. I also have plans. And so I cleared it. I actually did take some time off. And so I stayed through a weekend, through a week, because through the weekend into weekdays, because I was like, I don't know if she'll be available and vice versa. And actually, when we
Oh, so
had the
you
face,
already went out there?
no, I had the ticket purchased. I purchased it the
Okay,
night
okay,
after the
okay.
conversation immediately
Mhm.
because I make moves. I'm very serious about things. And so I was like, I really want to see her now. And I know she might be busy, but I will make whatever time she has. I will take time off. I'm on, I took all 3 days off. So I was like, I am available whenever you're available. I didn't happen to rent a car because the business I primarily had was in LA. And so I did not even actually, I said, you go first, actually, when I called her. And so then she's like, I've been thinking about it and I'm comfortable officially dating. If you meet my dad, I've been praying about it. That was actually the conversation at the end of our fast. And so then she's like, well, what was your surprise? Well, I was like, that's interesting. That's amazing. I'm actually going to be in
Your dad is the final boss.
town. And so then she's like, what? And I was like, you told me you like surprises. And so it did catch her off guard. She didn't, embellish on that part, but it was like, okay, well, I think I like that. So I was like, I don't want to be weird. I was like, if you only want to meet for an hour, fine. And so then she said, hey, can you come and meet my folks? And I was like, well, I don't really have a rental car. I'm going to be in LA. What day works and vice versa. So then she told me about how, on weekends she goes home, which is fine and makes sense. So I was like, well, that's fine. I'll clear the whole Sunday. I was like, I'll go out there. I have family in the same town where she lives. And so I went to school out there. And so I was like, cool. I don't have like my plans are flexible. I have businesses and things like that. My goal was to be around so that way the hope that if she was, we were moving forward when she was done praying, we could have our first date in person. And I have no issue meeting her parents. I was just like, oh, okay. And she's like, rent a car and vice versa. And part of me was just trying to clarify, like, you know, why don't we drive together? Because in my mindset was, you know, it's a time to connect and discuss and things like that. And I was going to, in my mind, which we didn't get into, I was going to just, go into town and go to the university and hang out and then meet for dinner. I was going to stay by my cousin and then we were going to drive back in my mindset and go from there. And I was going to fully pay for her rental car. I was going
Okay.
to pay for her gas and all that stuff. That
Oh,
didn't
damn.
come, that's just my assumption. But I was like, why do I need to rent a car? I'd rather just experience the connectivity with you and put the gas in your tank. But I did not say that.
All right. And then so Brittany, what would you say was the last straw for you where you were like, yeah, I'm not
Yeah, Brittany, what was the damn last show? What's going
gonna
on, Britt?
continue with this anymore?
You didn't really like. Come on.
Yeah, it was just the sexual text messages. That was just a lot for me.
What was the sex? So the first time that happened, y'all had this whole conversation, surprises. Oh, okay, I don't mind that. But you really don't like surprises. But it seemed like you kind of went. The response seems like, oh, okay, they cool with it. Not really. Later on, they'll be like a month later. The one day, and I kind of didn't. It's like what the? It's like what? Okay. All right, now my man is confused. That's why it seemed like you just don't want him. But when is the second time the inappropriate thing happened? I think the second time, because she said multiple times, you only described it one time, and it seemed like y'all spoke after that. But I guess what was the second time that happened that made you cut him off completely?
Fair. As far as going back to the airport situation or the airline situation, it was just like out of the blue. I didn't know he had all these things lined up for me. Again, that's when communication is key. Especially with the gas thing. He did not mention that he was going to fill my gas tank. But you know what? Overall,
He said he didn't say those things. He said he didn't get a chance to.
I enjoyed the experience.
He didn't tell you, but that's what he was
Scott,
going to.
he's a great person.
So we can only take it with a grain of salt that he was actually going to do that, or is he trying to make himself look better? But how bad could he make himself? He's literally taking accountability for everything so far. It sounds like it, right? Am I crazy? Again,
we're good people. We're just not right for each other. So that's what I have to say about that.
Okay, Scott.
Exactly.
Any final words on this?
Exactly. Like I said, she's a very beautiful woman. She's very spiritual. But like I said, sometimes some people are just not necessarily a good fit for you. I do think that we communicate differently. And I do think I took every effort to communicate. It just wasn't necessarily the way that she would like. And I think ultimately, like I said, she'll find what she's looking for. And yeah, even though it wasn't a good fit, like hopefully she can find what she's looking for and give that person a little bit more patience and grace. And for me, I need to make sure that I'm a little bit more verbal about certain things, but
Right.
the most I can do is say, hey, if you're offended by this, which is what I did, or anything, just let me know. I can't do anything more than that. But thank you. I did enjoy the experience.
Dude, you did every single thing you were supposed to do. You did it, even if when you kind of had some hiccups and speed bumps a little bit, you made up for that. And was like, oh, okay, my bad, my bad. I was getting, well, different vibes from just a text message. That's why he's, context. I'm going to see you in person or FaceTime or talk on the phone. He was perfectly correct in a lot of things he did here, and a lot of things he apologized and made up for. You see how he was like 100%. When he was 100% submissive in this, bro. He tried to organize. He tried everything in his damn playbook to try to get this girl to try to figure her out. Fam, she just don't like you at all. She just don't. She's never gonna say the real reason why. She just don't. Maybe she doesn't like the way you look. She thought about it. She looked on your social media. She just doesn't like the lifestyle you live. Maybe, I don't know. It's a combination of a bunch of shit, but she don't want to look bad. And she made a decision. No, I don't know if she had to talk with her family or something like that. Look at these text messages, dad, or something like that. I don't know what the hell. But yeah, she ain't really failing you, because sometimes even if women do have strict parents and stuff like that, and they go by the guidelines of the family, and you got to meet my mom, my dad, and everything else, right? There are some things that they will not tell their parents about if they like you enough, and she knows that there's some aspects about the person that she really likes that she's going to introduce to her parents. There's some aspects she's going to hide from her parents, knowing that her parents are probably going to disapprove of a few things, but if they like you enough, they're going to hide those things. And she didn't say nothing. I'm not saying she didn't see nothing to really hide, but if she really liked you that much and she sees stuff that she really doesn't have to hide, then that's a plus. But in this case, she just plain old just don't like him. And we ain't gonna never know the real reason why, because she wants to stay face, super, spiritual person and conservative girl and da-da-da and marriage and being conservative and abstinent and all that. She wants to seem like a good girl. So yep, that's it.
Experience. And I'm open to coming to a reunion or whatever, if depending on it. Yeah, I know some people have reached out to do different things in the community, and I wish Brittany all the best and everything that she's doing as well with her career and graduation and things like that.
Yeah. So speaking on that, any upcoming projects or things you guys may be working on that you want to let us know? Yeah, let's start with Brittany. Go ahead.
Yeah. So graduating in the
That's great. All right, working yourself, Britt. I think you're fine. Good luck to both of y'all.